Hello, I'm Michael Tomar from the Tampa Museum of Art, and you're watching Tampa Bay Community Network.
Hi, I'm Linda Saul-Sena, and I want to welcome you to this Culture Vultures episode. It is my great pleasure today to have as a guest Michael Tomar. He's the Executive Director of the Tampa Museum of Art and a real gift to the Tampa Bay area. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm so glad that you have joined us here. Has it been a year yet?
No, almost. We're getting close.
Well, the Tampa Museum of Art is very fortunate to have you as the executive director. And I wanted to ask you, what kinds of initiatives have you planned for our museum?
The opportunities here are just tremendous, so I'm trying to make sure that we continue with these great successful stories that have already been there. But there are some really interesting opportunities that the museum field has to offer that aren't happening here. So one of the first things that I had a conversation with my team about was reaching out to audiences that aren't necessarily predisposed to art.
Oh, that's smart, because if you've grown up in the Tampa area, speaking personally, when I was growing up here, there wasn't a lot going on.
Yeah, and I think that people may not be predisposed to art because they just haven't been introduced to it. And I think as we're finding in the elementary and secondary school systems that art isn't where we would all like to hope it was, or where it was when we were all kids, that we have a unique opportunity here to introduce both children and adults that may not have had that access when they were younger. So our programs now are starting to reach adults as well as children. And some of those programs are designed for people who convene already for other purposes. And in particular, museums of art have had some great successes with people who are suffering from challenges with mental health issues. And I think that maybe one might not go to that direction right away.
But I would never have thought of that, really.
Yeah, one of the interesting things is that we know that art is very successful with is reaching children and adults that may have challenges with the traditional verbal and nonverbal communication. So they may be very comfortable in music or expressing themselves through the visual art or performance or dance. But reading and writing and speaking in public may not be their thing. Mm-hmm. Sometimes with children, we see great success stories with art that deal with behavioral issues. And sometimes behavioral issues happen because of communication issues. So with adults that are faced with mental handicaps or challenges that have kind of happened to them along the way, we find that their communication skills have diminished and they may feel more comfortable talking about things that are more away from their challenges. So we work now with people who are suffering from depression and dementia, specifically people who are suffering from Alzheimer's, and also people who have had trauma in their lives, whether it's post-traumatic stress disorder or something that has jarred their ability to communicate and function at the high level or the level that they did when that trauma didn't exist. So basically it's a way to bring people into a very safe environment, have a conversation about art that is not an art history discussion. It's really about what you're seeing and how you're interpreting it in the way in which you're comfortable. So we started that program almost immediately, and we call that program Connections. And we've already been working with groups that are groups of people who are going to therapy for depression. We're working with the Alzheimer's Association and the Bird Institute. And we also have relationships now with the Veterans Hospital, and all of this in a very short period of time. Something absent from public programming in Tampa that clearly there is an interest in having this go forward.
who facilitates this? How does it take place?
Well, it really is a true partnership. And in initial discussions about getting university students more involved in the museum, we reached out both to the University of Tampa and also to the University of South Florida, to which the University of South Florida Honors College was very interested in establishing a partnership right away. And when I talked about this Connections program, they felt that this is a perfect opportunity for some of their students who may or may not be in the neuroscience and behavioral division of the college that are in the Honors College to start participating and learning how to deal with groups of people that are suffering from these mental health challenges. So we engaged right away, and we now have a program where we are training juniors and seniors of the Honors College to facilitate these discussions with these groups. So we make these programs happen. We coordinate these programs in relationships with others. And we work with the facilitators, the therapists, and now with college students that we are training to get some hands-on experience in dealing with pockets of populations that you and I know will be dealing with for many, many years. Trauma, depression, dementia, Alzheimer's. Who isn't touched by that in their lives? And what a better time for a university student to understand that in a more intimate level.
Well, the collaboration alone is fantastic. And that you've dived in so quickly and made this happen is great. Is it dependent upon a particular exhibit being up, or can the facilitators work with whatever's on display?
Facilitators can work with whatever's on display. The interesting thing about this program is we are facilitating conversations with a pedagogy that's called visual thinking strategies. So it's not one of these talking head programs where we talk about why the artist did what they did, when they did, and under what conditions and cultural nuances. We're actually asking the people in the audience to explain to the facilitator and other people that are sitting, what do you see? So it doesn't really matter what the content is. But we do want to try and do something thematically based. So it might be about landscapes. It could be about portraiture. Portraiture specifically is good for self-evaluation because they see themselves in a portrait, or maybe see themselves in a landscape. So you might hear some interesting interpretation. But no, it could be even just about the color blue. So a big painting of color could really spark really interesting conversation about what's happening in this painting.
That is so interesting. So it's about how they feel about this other thing, which is safer than talking about their own experience.
Right. That's right. And inevitably, it'll resonate. Mm-hmm. So if something is really challenging them, or their overarching fears or thinking skills are now about their health issues, it may come out in an interpretation of, let's say, a color blue or a landscape, or a childhood memory that's bothered them, or something that recently happened that traumatized them. And so inadvertently, they're talking about it in a way that maybe it's not about pain or discomfort or I can't sleep or...
Right. Well, if somebody watching this program were interested in finding out more, they could call the Tampa Museum of Art?
You bet. Our education division is ready to set you up to either work with a pre-existing group or establish one around the group that you're already working with. This is a free program.
It's free?
It's free.
Great.
We are receiving a lot of community support for this. Including funding some seed money that came from the Tampa Bay Foundation for Mental Health, a newly established 501c3 charitable organization in this community that is specifically designed to help facilitate community programs and research for those people who are suffering from mental health challenges.
That is wonderful.
Yeah.
That is great.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. And then to the point of university students, which has been a lot of fun, is that so now with these conversations and learning a little bit more about university student involvement, we have changed our policy to allow university students free access to our museum, period.
Right.
So if you have an active ID that you are a university student, whether you are living here or in Zurich, you can come to our museum with no general admission fee. We want you to have that opportunity. We offer that to K through 12 students that are in Hillsborough County. We extended that off to higher education learning also. And as a result of that, we have seen almost a 60% increase in university attendance in a very short period of time.
The word has spread.
The word is spread.
But that is fantastic because you want the museum to be a place that young people want to come and learn and gather, and that they value the opportunity to go there for free.
Yeah.
That's great.
You know, museums have an interesting reputation and maybe unfortunate reputation of being a little bit elitist and not accessible. Well, that's really not the case, and it's our job as leaders in the community to welcome people in, to learn at whatever level they want to experience the art and interpret it the way they want to. And if they want to learn more, we have these wonderful other programs that are out there. Lectures, we have opportunities to create art, we have studio art classes.
I didn't realize you had studio classes.
We do. We have summer camps for kids right now, and I'm looking forward to expanding that opportunity to adults.
I think that's great. There are people who want to have the chance to make art, and just physically going to the museum, it's such a beautiful place.
It is, and I think that creating art also demystifies the whole process. I think that people, you ask them, you know, do you love art? And their response is, I can't draw a straight line. Well, it's not about drawing a straight line in the way that we're teaching. It's about helping people understand that creativity is the most profound quality of humanity. And if you can understand that you can be creative, then you'll understand the way people converse and how they make choices in life. And that's all about being artistic, is all about being creative. Indeed, what you decided to choose to wear today is an artistic decision make, because you're doing color combinations, and how do you want people to see you, and how do you want to present yourself, and those are artistic, creative decisions we make every day.
But we never think of them in that way. I think finally cooking is getting its due as being a creative venture.
I couldn't agree more. And talking about cooking, we're looking forward to doing some fine art, fine dining, fine food experiences at the museum in the near future, because again, you're absolutely right, those things cross over easily.
And you have, in my humble opinion, the best chocolate ice cream in town.
We do. Sono Cafe is fabulous for a great meal and easy access right at the museum.
One of the things that your predecessor did was open the museum 7 days a week, and I thought that was a great move.
You know what? I didn't know that he did that, but yes, I agree. I just assumed it had always been that way.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
You know, traditionally museums are closed on Mondays, and if you happen to be a visitor or a person for whom Monday is your day, when you can get there, that's really a drag.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think it's brilliant because most museums are closed on Mondays, so we get the lion's share of those people who want to go to a museum when others are closed. Yes, and I think it's great also that we're open until 7 in the evenings. That's really a plus, especially for those people who work an 8 or 9 to 5 job. And I think it's important, and our attendance on Monday is very steady. So it's not as if people who know about Mondays and museums being closed don't know that we're open. We are, and they're coming. Yeah.
And you have such a glamorous view of the sunset behind the minarets of the University of Tampa.
Yeah, I'll tell you, this facility, which relatively speaking is new to Tampa at Curtis Hickson Park, right next to the Children's Museum, it's positioned so beautifully to have the great view of the Riverwalk and the river, the beautiful minarets of University of Tampa. It's great, central location.
And the children's play area and the dog park adjacent to you are always busy.
Always busy, and now so is Curtis Hickson Park. So there's always something happening in that park. Music, performances, it's terrific. Yeah.
Tell me what some of the upcoming exhibitions will be in 2016.
Sure. Well, we have this fabulous exhibition by a Barcelona contemporary artist who is world-renowned. And I am happy that we were able to introduce him to the community. His name is Joan Plenza. The exhibit title is The Human Landscape, and he does very large-scale sculpture and installation pieces. So for the first time, this museum is going to feature outdoor sculpture as well as indoor sculpture to engage the public before they even enter the walls of the museum. It's a beautiful show, very large, and we're excited to have his work here. It's part of a project that was established by Cheekwood Gardens in Tennessee, so we're partnering with them to bring the show to Tampa. So I'm very excited about the community seeing that. And at the same time, we have this exhibition called Public-Private. It's a collection from a private foundation whose children now continue to collect as their parents did in Vienna. So the collection resides primarily in Vienna, but the artwork is really what I would call a great sampler of late 19th, early 20th century universally recognized artists. So artists including Rodin, Picasso, Mary Cassatt, Modigliani.
How exciting. It's coming here this...
Yes, it will be here all the way through early winter through the spring. And I would encourage people to take advantage of having an opportunity to see such a variety of very important artists with good examples. And it includes the original works by Renoir. I mean, it's a really great show. And, you know, to that end, our museum really is about antiquities because we have a fabulous collection of classical art. But the other part of the mission is to help contextualize that and to see works from contemporary and modern artists as well. So modern being anything from the mid-19th century forward. And so to have these two exhibits, one very contemporary and modern, sitting next to our antiquities collection, I think is a great opportunity for Tampa Bay.
I'm so excited about it. And I believe there's one evening a month or one day that's free to the public?
It's actually every Friday. So it's called Art on the House, and between the hours of 5 and 8, so we close every day at 7, but on Fridays at 8. You can take advantage of coming to the museum and making a donation rather than a general admission fee, or not. So if you have a buck and you want to see the museum, please come. It is sponsored by local community corporations and businesses who want to see the community engage when they can't necessarily afford it.
That's marvelous. That's just great.
It is great. So it's called Pay As You Will, and we encourage everyone to come on Friday evenings.
Great. And you're open till 8, which is even...
On Friday evenings we are, yeah.
That's great. So how did you come to be a museum director?
Well, I'm a trained art historian, and at the time that I was doing my master's and doctorate work at Penn State University, my assistantship, which was 30 hours a week, was with the Museum of Art, which is now the Palmer Museum of Art at Penn State. And they moved me from place to place where they needed me. So I went from the registrar's office to the curator's office to education. I worked in marketing and PR, and so I got a really good sense through those 8 years of schooling what to do in a museum. And when I was looking for a job after I got my doctorate in 1993, I decided I'd try and find a position that would allow me to continue to be an academic and teach, which I enjoyed, but also work in an art museum so that I could be engaged with the public and work with what I call living art rather than art in the dark with slides.
Art in the dark.
Art in the dark,
great.
Yeah. So I wasn't able to find that natural combination, but I did land a position at a small rural art museum that was accredited, that collected American art, called the Southern Alleghenies Museum of Art. They had a very interesting model of 4 physical plants, satellites, that spanned between Altoona, Pennsylvania and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I was their chief curator. They hired me to do all of their exhibitions and oversee incoming and outgoing exhibits.
That's a lot.
It was a lot for a first job out without that type of unique museum curatorial experience, although I'd worked in the curatorial division. I liked it a lot, and within 6 years of working there was thinking of other opportunities when the founding director retired. And the board chair asked me if I would consider becoming the director. And I was
like a kid.
Very young, in my late 30s. And I thought, well, I might be making the wrong decision, but I think it's the right decision at the moment, and then I'll try and deal with the consequences later. So in the year 2000, I started my directing career, and I've been doing that now for 15 years. And I really think it was a good decision. It pulled me out of academia a little bit further than I wanted to be, but it really gave me a better understanding of how I could be a real advocate and a real community engagement person for the significance of art.
Well, it really changed your audience because an academic audience is so much more limited than the community at large, and you have to really use different strategies in presenting art. But
I would have to agree with you. I mean, I think, you are predisposed to a certain teaching method when you're working with academics, and also those people who are receiving the information. But to that point, this visual thinking strategy pedagogy I was talking about for our Connections program, that allows anybody to participate at any level, whether you have any background in art or not. It doesn't really matter, because everybody's inspired. 99% of our world is visual when it comes to how we digest information. So
that is so true.
Yeah.
That is so true.
Yeah. So to talk to people about what they see and how they see it is a very different thinking strategy than it is to teach somebody about why something is created under what circumstances. So yes, I mean, it is. It broadened my knowledge, and to understand that art history is extremely important, arguably not the best way to teach, but a significant way to teach. So it can sit side by side with other ways to talk about art. So it was a great opportunity for me to expand that. And I don't know that would have happened for me if I would have continued to stay in academics and teach, which, by the way, I love teaching. Yeah.
But my feeling about teaching is it's always an option. I mean, with your PhD, when you're tired of building a community, you can always go there. But now we're happy you're here and building a community and using the art as one of the catalysts.
Well, I really kind of am a closet docent. I love giving tours. I love talking to the people that come in. I especially like seeing the kids. I'm glad that I'm here. I'm so happy that Tampa invited me to be here. It's really a great community, and I'm just enjoying my time here.
Well, we're thrilled with the skills and experiences that you've brought here and gotten some of the programs up and going virtually immediately.
Thanks. Well, the community is really engaged and ready, and we have some great sponsorships coming up for our programs. Everybody wants to be involved. I have not been told no from anybody here, and I think that may be Tampa Bay. It's been great.
Community.
Yeah.
And I think collaboration is really to everyone's benefit. I think all of the organizations, both arts and community organizations, realize that there's a tremendous benefit in sharing ideas, sharing resources.
Yeah, I agree. I always called nonprofit partnership sharing our poverty. We come together to share our human resources and try and make a bigger difference. And partnerships can be much more complicated, but they always end up more successful. But I'm a big advocate of nonprofit partnerships, but also for-profit partnerships. There's an opportunity there with those organizations that reach the public in a different way that we would never imagine. And to work with our law firms, our wealth management firms, our community businesses, they want to see the communities survive and thrive just as much as we do. And to partner with them can be a very significant opportunity.
And it can enrich the lives of their employees and customers in the way that it enriches the lives that you were describing earlier.
Sure. And they want their staff, their employee base, to have high quality of life. And so for them to engage in what we can only do through private support, and competitive grants through government agencies, but with their assistance and partnership with us, their employees can have a much higher quality of life. And I think demonstrating that to your staff by saying, we believe in this and we want you to participate in it, and we're going to help support it, is a real profound way to tell your staff, we really believe in you and want you to have a good quality of life.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's really nurturing.
Yeah, it is. It is. So to that end, we've been doing a lot of work with our corporate businesses, talking with them a lot. What is a good return on investment for you that we can provide to the community? And
that's an interesting thing, because people tend to think of that in only monetary terms, but you're talking about qualitative terms.
That's right. And we do have a program that allows people to support the institution and then provide membership to their staff, as well as access cards so that they can come to the museum when they want. So there's all different ways to work with us so that they can better enrich the lives of their employee base.
That is just great. I love the fact that you've opened things to university students too.
I love that too.
I think that is just such a winning idea.
Well, there is no end to that. And I think that at the college level, that's the time to really give university students an opportunity to understand what they may want to do in life, and what better opportunity is there to work with the public. And so I think that it helps them make the decision, this is really something for me. I want to be engaged. I want to talk. I want to learn and be around people, or maybe not. But to have that type of experience in internships, remember that an art museum isn't all about exhibitions and art education programming. We have a huge marketing division. We've got a huge development division which deals with development, fundraising, business acumen, and then we have our curatorial division, we've got our education division, we have a finance division on how to operate this business as a nonprofit.
So you have students come and intern with you all?
We have typically placed them in education and curatorial, which are our exhibitions, but I am ready for them to start working with us in marketing and business and finance, because it is the perfect opportunity to understand how that works.
Oh, I think that's brilliant, and
yeah.
that's pretty. It gives students an opportunity to see what it's really like. Often in college, the idea of something is very different from the reality, and I think that oftentimes the reality is more exciting, but you need to have a chance to see what, to experience it.
Absolutely. I mean, my first day on the job, or I should say my first 3 days on the job as a director in Pennsylvania, was spent in the auditor's office trying to understand how to read an audit. Who knows how to read an audit? You don't learn that as an art historian. But give some of these students an opportunity to understand what that looks like, have them understand how to read those things. They read like books. You could tell 1,000 stories with a financial statement. But I think it's until you actually see the realities of applying that, what you've been taught in school, to something practical, that it is distant. It's separate somehow until you have that hands-on. We want to give those students that hands-on experience.
I was going to say, you also have retail. The museum store is a whole lot of fun. A great way to support a worthy institution.
Absolutely. And what's nice about museum stores that I love is oftentimes they offer merchandise that can't be found in other types of stores, because they're uniquely gauged to displaying and integrating artwork into the fabric of their design.
Often relating to the shows that are there.
Relating to the shows. And then, of course, we have a restaurant, and that restaurant provides an opportunity for people to learn more about that type of business. So in every aspect of a museum, we're really looking at a microcosm of a business at hand. It's a different type of business than a for-profit, but inevitably, it is a business. Yeah.
Well, I think that the physical space of the museum, the beautiful building by Stanley Sadowitz, provides a gathering spot with really high quality air conditioning.
Yes, exactly.
Which is critically important, right in the center of downtown. And it's important for people to know that you can just go into the lobby and enjoy the shop or the restaurant.
That's right.
Or the physical lobby space, which thank you very much now has some art in it.
Yeah.
Some really interesting art.
Yeah.
And it's just sort of a respite. I always feel that getting people in the door is the first step.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then they see that you get to enjoy this magical place. And if you go upstairs and see the exhibits, that much better.
Yeah, an experience in an art museum can often be one that is a lasting experience, especially if you attend with someone. So you're building memories with someone in an experience that's very unique. I think that people like to convene in museums for that purpose.
Absolutely.
And it's a safe place to be. It's comfortable, air conditioned, but it's also a little bit cerebral, or as much as you want that to be. But it can also be fun, and you can share information that isn't about your day-to-day drudge, or what's, this is a real opportunity to look at something by yourself or with someone. So you can come with somebody, but you can separate yourself from them and also have a personal experience or a shared experience. And our museums are really perfect for that. And we always like to think of ourselves, or at least I would with an art museum, as kind of a community catalyst in that way. Bringing people together and engaging with them for a special experience that they can share.
Michael, you said it so beautifully. And thank you so much for joining us today. it makes me so eager to go down and see what's on the walls right now and
Thank
have
you.
a bit more of that chocolate ice cream.
Yeah, thank you.
So-
It's a great opportunity for me to talk with you today. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Thank all of you for watching Culture Vultures, and please join us again.